Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. This is Juan Lee from Clear Journey. And tonight it is just going to be you, me, and our special guest. Well, we're going to be now not a special guest. We're going to be co-hosts. But right now, I'm just going to introduce you to our platform real quick. Clear Journey is a nonprofit that's here to support you in your life's journey. We educate and we provide resources so that you can navigate life successfully with the right mindset. I'm an author and a speaker, and tonight we're going to be we're going to have a check-in conversation the day after. And who we're going to have with us is the co-host of the show, and that is Dr. Joi Brown. Welcome, Dr. Joi Brown. We are here to have a
Yes,
conversation.
yes, we are. Super excited to be here with you, co-hosting with you, Juan.
Absolutely. But now let everybody know exactly what you do and how you do it while you're here so we can get started.
All right. Well, I am Dr. Joi Brown. I am a career strategist, a coach, an international best-selling author, an entrepreneur, and a speaker. And I am all about educating, equipping, and empowering people to be their best selves and to walk into their greatness. And so Juan and I connected. And so he talks about the journey and the path. And I always say that I'm here to help you navigate through life. And so we are here, and welcome to what we are calling our check-in conversations, where we are going to have some real topics and some real conversation and have you connect with us.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this all started based on a conversation that we just had last week. And I think it was basically birthed out of, you know, the day after, to be
Yes.
honest with you, the day after. And how that has resonated
Mhm.
around this country and around the world.
Mhm.
And the thing that was really interesting for me, and I'll be honest with you, in talking to you really helped me in being aware of how many of us are
Mhm.
having to process what has happened over the last week.
Right. I think when you asked me and what was my word, I said, Juan, I'm processing because I'm feeling some kind of way. The day after, it was a little rough. It was a little rough. And for me, I was hopeful, just holding on to hope for a new leader, a new way forward and everything. And, that night I literally had to turn off the TV. Then I
Well, I
woke
mean,
up. Yeah.
there are a whole lot of us that had to, again, it's the day after,
Hmm.
and the day after presents a new thought process.
Hmm.
And one of the things that we want to hear and help and navigate, allow people an opportunity to process. And
Yeah.
we want to be a vehicle and an avenue so that people can process, because that is something that is necessary to be
Hmm.
able to move forward,
Yes.
to
Yes,
be
it
able to
is.
move forward.
Yeah. So, again, we want y'all to engage with us. So please tell us how you are feeling. Again, if you are on YouTube, put it in the comments how you are feeling. But I know for me, I felt sad. I felt, you know, shocked. I just felt like, oh, it just hit me so hard. It was emotional. It really was. It was emotional.
I was amazing. I mean, I've heard people talk about being afraid,
Hmm.
being hopeless,
Hmm.
feeling betrayed.
Yep.
All of these things are emotions that impact our inability to move forward.
Right. And anxious, the unknown. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a multitude of things that I think people are experiencing. And I think
Hmm.
the one thing that we don't want to do is to not own if the event, own the situation so that we can move forward.
Right.
And it needs to be a way of moving forward, because I think collectively we need to understand that we all got to go through the process, but then
Mm-hmm.
we gotta galvanize and come together and say, okay, we got to do this together. We got to move this thing forward together, because
Correct.
in many cases, and some of us, hey, maybe we just need some help. We need some help to be able to process it. And,
Right.
and that's what we want to be able to be here for, is the ability for those who need assistance and help
Mm-hmm.
processing this, is and again, we are all about having the right mindset so that we can navigate this type of stuff.
No, that is so true. And we do want to be able to have that conversation for you to process. How are you feeling? Owning, like you said, those words and those feelings. And because I think that's the key part when we talk about how do you move forward, you gotta go through the process. You gotta feel how you feel. I don't want people to sweep stuff under the rug. It's like, no, own your feelings. Let's call them out. But then, like you talked about, we don't want to stay there. We want to, again, be able to provide resources and help us navigate, as we say, on this journey called life, through the process.
Mm-hmm.
Through the
Yeah,
process.
yeah. And I guess maybe the first thing is that we can just start just understanding, you know, how do we get here? How do
Mm-hmm.
we get to this space that has caused us to need the necessity to need the to process something as such? I don't know. I mean, it's I guess that may be something we can just talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to cause us to have to navigate such a hard time? I think you talked about some of the things as being a woman, as it relates to how it has impacted you and how it has made you feel.
Right. And I could definitely speak on that. Yes, as an African American woman in, corporate America, I understand, and I understand the feelings of being unseen, overlooked. He has the qualification, the education and experience, with someone in leadership, or others just not valuing my worth. And then you have even society. And I think that was so like apparent, is that we clearly was hoping that a better day was coming with a person who was qualified, has deemed qualified, has the credentials, and it went a different way. So being overlooked, unseen, wow.
Well, I mean, and those are the things that are real. Those are
Mhm.
real emotions and real things. And and for me, it was like this was really eye opening for me, in the sense of the process, needing to process, because you that was a lot
Mhm.
involved in that situation, that
Mhm.
I was unaware that women were in, to that degree, looked upon on this event.
Mhm.
And so it was very eye opening to me when you said that, and I heard that spoken by other
Mhm.
people, and I'm thinking, man, this is really, this is a personal assault on
Mhm.
a person, that it was intended. I don't know. I mean, it was something that had happened that meant so much. It was so personal to so many people, I
Right.
guess, is what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and 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 how do we get past that to the point where we can say, okay, this may not have been as personal, um, but we've got to be able to move beyond it
Right.
in
Mhm.
spite of it. And I guess, is that a viable thing, that we've got to be able to process it to the point where, okay, hey, let's get in the fight.
Well, yeah. I think even like for me, when I was going through that situation, I had to, in that space in the professional, I knew who I was. I knew my own worth. So even though others try to box you in or try to act like you don't have the qualifications, I didn't stop there. I had to what? Find another way. And
And I
it
think,
happened. Finding that other way is probably connecting with other people who look like me, who I said, hey, I'm dealing with this. Help me navigate this. And so that's when we talk about we're in this together, because I think it's in those spaces. I know for me that I've had to call on my sister girls, and I've had to call on female bosses who inspired me. And I stand on the shoulders of them, and they paved the way for me to say, hey, how do I even deal with this? Because unfortunately, I have grown up in the field and really worked in organizations that have been male dominant. And
Yeah.
so again, being a, growing up in, the government and leadership, I was a supervisor at the age of 30. So I was supervising people did not look like me. And then I was supervising people older than me. So I had to deal with all of that. And so having that self-worth is so important. And you got to believe in yourself and have your network to help you navigate those doors, because they'll try to put that ceiling on you. Like, no. Mm-mm.
And see, again, that's that ability to when one door closes, another one opens, and the ability to see the glass as being half empty or half full. That's the mindset that I think is what we try to promote at Clear Journey, and that is the sense of being able to understand that the circumstances are the circumstances. But when we begin to change the way we see the circumstances,
right,
then things begin to change, because now I can put another perspective on it. And as we might say, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yes, it is.
And so just because, that way is what everybody else is pursuing, we've got to find another alternative to maybe to get to the same place. So as we look at as challenges, and that's what we talk about a lot at Clear Journey, we talk about being able to overcome challenges, is that the process is that, okay, once we own it, own it, then we can able to begin to address it and look at it from a different perspective. And so, this thing that we've experienced gives us an opportunity now to say, okay, how can we look at this differently and make it beneficial? Make it useful and beneficial to not only myself, but you and I and everybody else that's in this thing, because Gannett, we're in this thing together.
We are. We're in this thing. And so that's the importance of, like you said, collaborating and figuring out how we can connect with each other. What are we going to do in spite of whoever's in leadership?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a challenge. That's the way I think we categorize things that are not going the necessary way that we want things to go. They're a challenge. And yet, in spite of that, we've got to get up, shake ourselves off, brush ourselves off, maybe address the disappointment, but then we got to build a course of action. We got to move. We got to move.
And I love the part when you talked about it's a challenge. So I think, like in life, because you say we're on this journey, and I said we navigating through life, and this whole term lifing, because I do believe life and be happening to people. I'm working with people all the time. That life and be coming up, y'all. And so you have to look at, any challenge of your life. And that time of processing for me is a time of reflection. It really is. And I always say that man in the mirror, had that mirror up. And in situations I have learned I cannot change anybody but who? Dr. Joi Brown. And so that's that reflection that I look at that says, okay, what have I learned from this? If I had to do this over, how can I be better in this situation? But it really is that place. And that's my processing place, that I really do some of that self-reflection. And that's when you talk about that ownership, because after you've done that, and sometimes you do have to grieve. Sometimes you are let down. Sometimes you are disappointed. Sometimes, when you go through the grief process, grief isn't just about someone leaving you. It could be a loss of a relationship, a friendship. You need to go through what? The process. So sometimes we skip the process. And that can also not help us.
No. I mean, the process is where we look. The process is where we get our growth at.
Yes.
That's where we grow in that process, because it's not always just trying to get to the other side. It's what we learn on the process to the other side. On the journey to the other side is that that's where we're able to prepare for the next challenge, because it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. and to know that we collectively can lean on one another, to
Mm-hmm.
know that that's where our help is. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've got to admit and acknowledge the fact that, maybe I do need some help going
Mm-hmm.
through this process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
It's absolutely okay to know that I need help, you know.
That is so true. And I think that's important. We now, I think from the pandemic, have realized that it is okay not to be okay. And for oftentimes we didn't really talk about it. People, you didn't talk about it, seeking the help. But again, in life, I say, my mother used to tell me, keep living long enough. And when you're a teenager or in your 20s, you don't understand that saying. But honey, you keep living long enough and you go through some things and you get some wisdom. And then on this journey, you're able to connect with some people, in your circle, but also some professional people, such as your coaches, your therapists. They are willing to help you navigate this thing called life, y'all. Because it will throw
Absolutely.
you some monkey wrenches. It go be some ups, some downs, some highs, and some lows. You like on a roller coaster. You got to hold on sometimes. But they are really help you, and they are trained to help you
Yeah.
navigate this thing. So again,
Yeah.
as we talked about, so you don't kind of repeat the same stuff. But if you have to be aware, and that's that thing of learning in that process and really taking
Yeah.
that awareness. And sometimes you got to peel back them layers and figure out, well, why do I keep doing the same stuff? I keep getting the same results. I want change, but don't really know how to change. And sometimes it like we said, starts within your mind. It's your mindset.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can't. The things that we talk about over Clear Journey is specifically, we talk about three areas. We talk about finances, relationship, and mental health. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, the mindset is where we house all of um, those those abilities so
Mm-hmm.
that we can navigate those things.
Mm-hmm.
And this space that we're in, when we're talking about processing is in that mindset.
Yes.
Processing is that place where, okay, how am I going to view this
Mm-hmm.
situation so that my actions
Mm-hmm.
are beneficial to myself and others because of the way I view this thing. See,
Yes.
because many times we act out of things that really don't are inconsistent with what we want at the income or the outcome
Mm-hmm.
to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't align those things together, we'll be
Yep.
disappointed at the point at the end. And
At
then
the end.
we at the end. So the process is important for us to be
Mm-hmm.
able to go, okay, let's do this alignment. Okay.
Yep.
Let's make our mindset be in line with what we want and how to accomplish that.
How do we
And I
accomplish it?
and I think that is what we're now getting into right now as it relates to, okay, this is what we need to do right now,
Mm-hmm.
because we need to understand, to stay in this state of, a shock, unaware, disbelief.
Disbelief,
um,
right?
it's not going to get us to
No,
the next step. Then that's going to get us to the next step. And that's the
right.
step where we begin to be productive in
Mm-hmm.
spite of, in many cases,
Yes.
when we have challenges that are, unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
unexpected challenges. That's where we are. So is there, in your mind, as it relates to what people are processing, what are some suggestions, or you think about that could help people in their day to day? I know we've talked about a few of them, but what
Yep.
are some other things that we can do on a day to day basis on any level of confronting challenges in
Mm-hmm.
your in your opinion?
I think the first thing, because I always start off with, your mindset is really, looking at your perspective. I think that is key. And in life, any situation that you go through, think about that situation. How did you show up? What did the lessons learned? What are the things you did well in that situation? What are the things that if you had to do it all over again, the stuff that you didn't know, now that you didn't know before, that's wisdom and applying that. And so I think in life, and that you can use that on a day to day, how do you want to show up today? You want to be better than you were yesterday. You want to have a good day. To me, that starts with saying that and everything and having that alignment. And then the other thing I think is important is making sure being mindful of what you let in your mind. in your space. So that's why it was
Mm-hmm.
important that sometimes when, that night I had to turn off the TV because again, the media, media plays a big part, not only on television, but social media is a big thing. And so sometimes people have to like detox from, social media because they are consumed with this social media that never sleeps. It's open 24 hours. But sometimes I think that's important that you need to watch what you're feeding into your spirit. And I think
Absolutely.
that's important because again, if you want positivity, you need to, make sure that you're putting in some positive things and not the naysayers, or the stuff or the doubters and something like that. So I think that's very important. So that whole watch what you let in. I always say like the television remote has that button called the mute. And mute has a purpose, and that is to refrain from hearing and letting in. But in life, sometimes you got to mute some things, even from yourself, the self-talk, the negativity, the comparison to others. That's when you got to remember who you are and remember
Yeah.
what put inside of you, and that you are here for a purpose. You are here for a purpose in life, and you need to tap into that and to make a difference, and whatever
Mm,
that is. That's how you get into who you are as a person, and to help you make impact in this world.
absolutely. Hey, if you're here and you're here, chime in. Let us know how it is that you're feeling, why it is that you're feeling. We want to really know how you've been navigating this space, because this is the space that's not only um, after this past week, but this is a space that we're navigating this thing called life,
Hmm.
365 days a year, 24/7. and
Yes.
and this is just an event that now has sparked a lot of introspection that we should use to our advantage.
Hmm.
We really should use it to our advantage. So if you're there and there's something on either we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, well, we didn't get Instagram, it didn't stay, but let us know. Give us some comments in the chat. We want really to be able to hear what you're feeling, and
Hmm.
so we can begin to um, address them as it relates to what you're dealing with, how you're managing this particular time. But again, it doesn't really matter what it is.
Right.
Life is going to be, as you said, Dr. Joy, life,
Like,
and
right.
and and when we do that, um, there's a lot of unexpected things that happen.
Right. And I
Um,
do like what we talked about how we have these three R's because I'm big on the number three.
mhm.
And so in life, that reflection, as we talked about before, that I think that is so key to even the good things in life, to even, just in life general, just being able to reflect because life is precious. It's a precious gift. And so
Mhm.
that reflection. But then also in life, you got to hit the reset, and that's resetting, goals and aspirations wherever you are in life. You hit that reset. And I always would say, you just like I use my little Waze app, and you put your little address in, and you just a driving, and then anybody like me, it say go left and you go right, and you like, oh man, because you know the way, right? You know the way. But
Mhm.
again, you put it in. But don't we wish that life was like that navigation, that it would tell us, hello, police ahead, construction ahead, accident ahead, beware, don't date that person, don't talk to that person, don't do that, don't make that decision. Don't we wish life was like that navigation? But it's not. But what is interesting about it, just as you go that wrong way, what happens? You miss that turn, what happens? It reroutes us. It
Rewrite.
reroutes it. That's that reset. It will move you no matter where you go to get you where back to your destination. And so I think that is the greatest thing of life, of how even though we go through the ups and downs and stuff like that, that we're able to hit like that reset. And I think that reset can happen at any time of your life. It doesn't have to be, in your, I'm hitting 50. Oh my God, I got to reset, or 30s. Or I think that reset can happen daily, can happen whenever you need it to happen, to reset some things, to some prioritizing for you. I think that reset is so important. And that reset will help you what? Rise. Our third R.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we ultimately want to get to. is that we want to rise. I think here's the thing. Some people can look at challenges as setbacks, but we can also look at them as opportunities for greater accomplishments.
Yes.
Because that's what we are going to, it's going to create a degree of growth and development that was not there before. That's going to allow you to proceed and to exceed what you could even think or imagine about what was in your visible conscious as it relates to what you could accomplish.
Right.
So let's just be clear. The ability to do things greater than we ever imagined or thought is what we desire. That's a motivational thing there. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
really keeps us motivated to know, oh, I didn't know I had this in me. But the fact
Come on.
is that you build it day by day. And so as it relates to whatever the challenge is, you know, we need to understand that we have something greater on the inside of us than
Yeah.
whatever the challenge is that's in front of us.
That
And
Juan, that is so true. And I even say, like, even now, look here, we gonna keep it real on here. We keep it real on checking conversation. I just know for me personally, my greatest, I call them tribulations and triumphs and storms, and I call them tsunamis when they come. Honey, now getting in them is something. Now you going through them, you don't know how you gonna make it, but when you come out on the other side, you talk about that growth. You talk about what I thought was gonna take me out. I had strength to overcome it and to get through it. And what I learned about me, that when my back was against the wall, I didn't give up. There was somebody who said a word, somebody who called my name, who checked on me, who connected me, something reminded me in those times, and I say in those rough times of life, that helped me push and keep it going. And like you said, one day at a time, one
right.
foot forward. That
See,
helped me really understand who I was and what I know in coming out. And like you said, like the song said, if he did it before, he could do it again. So I already know I overcame some stuff. Okay.
you said something there, and it was about you and and knowing who you were. See, that I believe is where we need to focus more on as it relates to. And you said it earlier in when you were talking about how you navigated your personal your professional career, and it was like the things that you found out about you, that you learn about me. That's where we start, because nobody then can tell you who your worth is, your value is,
Yep.
in spite of whatever ceiling that there might be there. I mean, I've known many people who said, you know, I left the job because I didn't want that ceiling. I left
Yep.
because I didn't see an opportunity for me to grow or to develop. And again, the emphasis there is that I'm greater than what the offer that they're offering there.
Yep.
And so, you know, we look at situations as there is nothing. Again, I promote the fact that each and every one of us is an original. Okay. And as a result, there is there's no limit to your
Right.
originality, and nobody can put a ceiling on your originality,
Right.
because there's nothing that you can compare to. You can't be compared. And as a result, I'm going to be my very best. It doesn't matter what the circumstances or situation are. I'm going to be my very best. And I'm not going to compare myself to anybody else.
Right.
And nobody's going to try to compare me to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I won't allow that. So I think
Right.
everybody, once they begin to understand their uniqueness, man, a lot of these perceived ceilings and things that are
Yep.
there becomes to be secondary, because, oh, if I can't do it here, I can do it where? And if it means that I get to do it my way and go my way,
Yep.
then I'll do it my way and go my way.
Right. But I think so. But I think that's a great point. But I think that's where we got to spend some time with ourselves. And it's almost like in an interview. I'm talking about a person who knows them like they know themselves. You talk about yourself. But that's so hard for people to do because they don't know who they are.
Right.
And they are feeling like, and again, and this is looking at, how we grew up and stuff like that and your environment. But again, you can pour into you, and you can pour into you. You can speak life into your situation. If you, and people always ask me, on job, like, how did you know when you were wanting to leave and stuff like that? And in my spaces, I have said, when I know that I've done all I can and I have given my all, it is about time for me to go, because I can't do no more. I've done everything. I've reached every milestone. That's when I know it's time for me to go to my next. But I've done my all. But I know my worth in my professionalism, because again, I want to be the best at whatever I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. What gives you great joy, and that's just being the best. But it also is knowing how to love you, and sometimes that's harder to do. I mean, people say, hey, I love you, but do you love yourself? And that's a whole deep thing. It's like, how do you feel about yourself? How do you love
Absolutely.
yourself? Because again, you have to first love yourself, and you got to be happy with you before you want somebody else to make you happy. See, wholeness. I tell
Yeah.
people, I have whole people at work, because I think that's important. But but it takes time for us to do that. And now, with this whole instant life on social media, it's like, oh, we just put this life that we want, and who knows if that's even reality. But it's not to say
Mm-hmm.
that if you do want something like that, you can still have it. But make it something that you want, not like, oh my gosh, I wish I was her. Because it's only one Dr. Joi Brown, it's only one Juan Lee. And there are other
Mm-hmm.
coaches and authors, and that's great, but no one can do it the way I can, because that's my gift. No one can do it
Right.
the way Juan can, because that's his gift. And he's
Right.
walking in his anointing. But then if we're able to connect like we do, it just works,
It,
because he's
it
bringing
it's
himself and I'm bringing myself.
and it's better together. It's
Yeah.
truly better together. I
Mhm.
mean, it's when we're able to glean from one another that makes something better for the collective. That's
Mhm.
exactly what it's about. You made a statement, and I was trying to remember what it was that triggered something in me that time. And it had to do with your being uniquely who you are.
Yep.
And I can't get it right now, but it was very much in line with what you were saying. um, so, I mean, here's the thing. We want to be able to make this a platform, a space
Mhm.
that people can come and really begin to just do a mental check-in,
Mhm.
because the mental check-in leads the way in every aspect of our
Mhm.
lives. It doesn't
Yes.
really matter. It doesn't matter what, like I said, we talk about finances, we talk about relationships, we talk
Mhm.
about well-being, a well-rounded life, and it
Yes.
starts with our mindset. And
Mhm.
so it's that ability to be able to get that check-in, and feel
Mhm.
free to, hey, give us an idea, let us know what it is that you're interested in knowing about, what specific area. And it's just
Oh
a
yeah.
conversation. It's just a
Mhm.
conversation that we're having. And really, here's what something that we talk about is just encouraging one another to be their very best that we can
To be
be.
their very best self. Mhm.
That's what it's all about. um in this day and time, so many of us are being forced to be divisive.
Mhm.
We're being forced to think that we got to do it on our own, but we
Mm.
don't. We don't.
No.
There is success. I don't know. There is no success that you, in any area, in any industry, in any situation, that's built on a single individual
Come on.
making it happen.
Let's say that
It's just,
again.
it's just not, it just doesn't happen,
It doesn't
you
happen.
know.
Right. It doesn't happen. Because there had to
And
be somebody who opened the door, somebody who said yes. And I tell people who are applying for jobs, I said, you only need one yes. You may have many no's in life, but you keep going. If you believe in yourself and your vision and your dreams, and you only need one yes. And that one yes could be that one door that can change your life. I am living proof. I had one opportunity that opened door for something else. I met somebody else that opened door for something else. I met some, and just doors were just opening and opening and opening, and only one. But I think that is so true. And together, I mean, think about a team. I always say team together. Everyone achieves more. I mean, but that fundamental principle is I can only do one thing, by myself. But if I join somebody else and we connect, I can bring who I am and they can bring their resources together. And now we have greater impact and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I hear exactly that. And the thing about it is being able to share that with so many people so that they can understand the value
Yes.
of being a collective group, a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something that it's interesting. Um, we don't realize how significant our connections are
Mm-hmm.
in our success. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we and it's stage by stage by stage that we're having these connections, and they're not really, I'm not going to say they're not appreciated. I don't think they're understood
Right.
how they connect, how they work in allowing us to reach our potential.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're
it's in that
undervalued.
in that understanding
Mm-hmm.
that that I and you can grow into something that we didn't understand or know about something in the past, and going forward. You
Right.
know, it's very important. I tell
Yep.
you,
And I see we have Carl joining. Thanks, Carl, for joining us and everything. Carl mentioned that we are speaking some words of wisdom. Thanks, Carl. Yes, we also want to hear from you as well.
yeah, I'm trying to think of, yeah, there it is right there. Call, there he is.
Yep.
Yep, Carl, you're absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And hopefully we can continue to do that on a regular basis. On a
Mhm.
regular basis. So yeah. Um, what is it that you want this platform? I just shared a little bit of what I thought the platform will be. How about you? Where do you want where do you want this particular check-in conversation to reach?
Well, I definitely want our platform to be a place where people can check in, people can connect, people can let us know how we are able to, again, help them along this journey called life.
Yeah,
That is so important. And we are want to create an atmosphere and an environment where we hear you, where you will be heard, and you have a voice. I'm big on having a voice.
yeah.
And I want to be able to create a platform where no matter if it's through virtual land or you have topics that you want us to talk about, that we are here to bring your thoughts and your ideas, or even I'm dealing with this and just really need to figure out how do I navigate this thing? And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it was so profound. Like when we had met, and like I always say that you talked about the journey. I'm like, I'm navigating through life. People know I'm a quoter. And I'd be like, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
navigating this thing through life, y'all. And
Yeah.
all the roles that I have, but I'm truly navigating through life. And the stuff that I talk about, the stuff that I write about is a place that I've lived my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the
And
only place I know how to speak from.
that right there speaks to that authenticity that's so necessary in this journey. And so
Mhm,
many of us, and especially on the social media platforms, where it's easy not to be authentic.
mhm.
Unfortunately, it's easy to not be
Yes.
authentic, but being our authentic self takes some intentionality. We
It does.
really have to be intentional and being honest with ourselves as it relates to how we determine and understand what our values are,
Mhm,
and then being consistently loyal to ourselves
mhm,
and our
mhm,
values. And so that's something that we want to be able to help and assist people in
mhm.
this journey, so that I tell you, when you're able to speak from that place of authenticity,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a confidence. There's a
Yes.
confidence and assurance that goes along with that, that it compares to nothing else, to be honest with you. That has been my experience in my life. It's just the more I know and feel secure about who I am, I become more and more confident in what I do and how I show up, how
Hmm.
people respond, and how people um, take my my way of doing things and seeing things done. It all stems from and starts at how well I know myself.
Oh yeah. Now I'm with you. I walk from a place that I've been, and I'm just a people person. And so I only know how to be joy. This bubbliness and everything just resonates, and I do this with all without coffee. But I call myself the positive energizer for a reason. Because with a name like Joy, I bring light, I bring hope. And I always say, like, I'm not in ministry, but I am in the ministry of people. I will, and when you leave me, you will leave better because of something that I've said. And I hope you feel like I'm encouraged. And so that's my superpower. When they say, what is your superpower? Encouragement, uplifting, giving people
Hmm.
hope, giving people joy. And I just do that by just who I am. So even
Yeah.
though, like I said, many walks of life, many great things, but those places that have been a challenge that I've been able to overcome and navigate by honing into that first thing, who I was and who I
Hmm.
am, what I was instilled with me when I was a child, believing in myself. And even now, when some of these things that I'm be like, wow, I'm at the table and I'm like, just shocked that I am here. And I'm like, you are among them. You are here. You are being put in these places and these positions for a reason, because you know your calling on your life is to pay it forward. And so, like you said, but again, I don't do this alone. The connections along my journey have changed my life, and that is
And
why we do what we do.
and the thing about it, what is you saying is that
Yes.
in spite of, and I think that's, if nothing else, that needs to be reverberates throughout
Hmm.
tonight and in the day after, is
Hmm.
in spite of,
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a brighter day. There is victory. There is accomplishment. There is opportunities in spite of. So we have a person in the chat.
Okay.
Uh, what? There you go, right there.
All right. Miss Dean, she's learned to again, perseverance. Okay, my dad always tells me never to give up. And oh yes, perseverance is key. Perseverance is key. And sometimes you got to press. There's the power of the press, which is the perseverance. It's to no
Yeah,
matter what happens, you got to continue to press. So sometimes, as we say, can't even think about tomorrow, right? Don't even worry about it. We take it minute by minute sometimes. Because sometimes it'd be so much, I can't, minute by minute. We're going to focus on that. Then we focus on hour by hour. But sometimes you got to go minute by minute. But it's the power of the perseverance.
yeah. I mean, you
And no
got to
matter
do
what
it.
happens, you are determined to continue to press. Sometimes that
Yeah,
pressing is hard, but you got to continue to move forward. Because, like you said, you can stay. Like I know for me, when it gets busy, you know, you have a situation, you may be down, but I can't stay down. And the only way I know how to do is I got to keep moving. That's my coping thing. I may, you know, vent whatever, but I can't stay there. Then I got to move, like you said, Ron, into action, because that's how I live my life. I got to move. I got to be active. I got to do something. If I want to change my situation, I am called to act. My mindset, my muting those negativity things, and my third point is always you got to be motivated to move, and action is required. Goals
yeah,
don't happen if we don't act on them.
yeah. And then Carl said, this is a great point. When you truly are self-aware about the capabilities and limitations, you can improve so much.
Mm,
Um, I, I,
yeah.
I think that in and of itself requires a degree of humility to be
Yes.
able to understand your limitations
Mm-hmm.
and your capabilities. And
Mm-hmm.
then, but that is not meant to hold you back. It just
Right.
allows you to identify areas of growth that's necessary. So,
Yes.
so that's a very good point, and that's a realistic point. I think many of us try to avoid those things, and instead of trying to, build those things up that are our limitations. I tell you, one of the things that, as I grew up, I said most my biggest accomplishment came as a result. It was on the other side of my limitations.
Yep.
on my weaknesses, on the other side of my weaknesses. So when I confronted my weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
I confront them, meaning that I'm no longer they no, I'm not saying that I changed them. I
Mm-hmm.
just said I'm aware of them, I'm acknowledging them, and
Yep.
I'm not going to allow them to limit me in what
Limit
I
you.
can accomplish.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That is so true. And that's funny because one of them interview questions is, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And I'm always like, no, there's no weaknesses. There's always area of opportunity. So I immediately flip that. And like you said, it's those areas because everybody got some strengths, everybody got some areas of opportunities, and those opportunities are things we got to work on. And so but you have to know what those are, and then and change that mindset. So I think that is so important there too.
It's amazing how you said weaknesses and you turn them into opportunities. That
I
that
heard
that,
of it
that right there,
opportunities.
that right there is a prime example of what
Yep.
it means to change the perspective, to
Change
change
the
that perspective and say, okay, and it's in an appropriate time, okay,
mm-hmm.
because when we talk about an interview, it's a reason why they ask you about that
Yep.
weakness, that strength and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
If you change the script on that and give them an answer that says that I have opportunities, that blows their mind, and in so
Right.
many degrees, it's like they're gonna blow their mind because they say you're gonna be like, oh, they're not even gonna hear the answer that they're looking for. They're
No.
gonna hear
Right.
something positive on both sides.
Right. Because the thing about the weaknesses is in the areas of opportunities, it's like you are aware of them. Like Carson, that's, by me, self awareness is a key, but also, how you're going to put the work in that area.
Yeah,
Right. So that's the other thing. So, yes, I'm great at these things, but, again, maybe time management is an area of opportunity. So I'm really working on utilizing my calendar more and having ticklers so I can make sure that I achieve all my deliverables and work assignments. You see how I just flipped that thing? Yeah, come on.
absolutely, absolutely.
You got some strategies, and strategies, what is our action that we talked
Yeah,
about?
and
That's our
again,
action.
it's having the connections to understand that there
Yep.
are options. You got options, and you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
continue to view things in the way in which you have been viewing them. It's
Mm-hmm.
you have the ability now to change, to flip the script, and to
Mm-hmm.
adjust the perspective, and then approach the situation or challenge from that viewpoint.
Right.
That is truly an example of what I'm talking about as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to perspective. It's
Mm-hmm.
within your ability to make that. You look at the situation and go like, okay, how can I make this an opportunity for me to thrive and to succeed,
Mm-hmm.
irrespective of
Right.
what the challenge is.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's great. And even like you said, sometimes even in those challenging situations, y'all, let's be clear. Like we don't like we talk about conflict. We don't like to have them conversations, but sometimes you need to have a conversation. And that's important. But again, perspective. I think perspective is so key. Having that perspective, because like I said, I work with managers all the time, and so and then I work at HR, so they don't be they like help me with these conversations with these employees. But again, change the narrative. Don't go into because if I go, I gotta have this conversation. Then I'm worried, I'm nervous, I feel I'm going to mess up. But change that. Be like, I have to have a conversation with an employee. And I need the employee to make sure that they are aware of whatever the situation is, but it's what I was saying. So if you change that thought process, then your mood will change, your emotions will change, and then you can figure out, okay, I'm going to approach it from this way. And so with that, all right, I see Dietrich has said perseverance and patience is the will of who we are as our culture. Historically, we know how to keep moving forward and remain hopeful. And that's what we talk. That's that rise. That yes, we perseverance and patience is the will.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, y'all, we've been through worse. We're gonna get through this, y'all, but we're gonna get through it what together.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what this is all about. I mean, I think the more we see positivity, we look as challenges as
Mhm.
opportunities, um,
Mhm.
than as distractions and obstacles. I think we are going to thrive better together throughout this
Hmm.
challenge. I mean, I just think it's something that we can be hopeful for in spite of. And it starts with a mindset that allows us to say, okay, we're gonna do better. We're gonna rise. We're gonna
Hmm.
rise and make it through this situation. As in any
Hmm.
other situation in our lives, we
Yes.
have what it takes to overcome
Hmm.
whatever it might be, and know that
Yes.
it's we can do it together.
We can do it together. I have what it takes. You have what it takes, and together we're gonna do this to
Yeah.
move forward. Hmm.
So this is an inauguration of
Yeah.
a check-in conversation. And so let us look at this as a space, a safe place, a place
Hmm.
that we will let you know when we will come back and do it again, so that we can put it on everyone's schedule so that they can look for us at a specific time and place. This was just an opportunity, and you said it earlier before we talked about it. We saw that this was an opportunity because it was a holiday, veterans holiday, and we forgot at the beginning to say thank you
Yes.
to our veterans. I am also a veteran, and a lot of the things that I talk about, a lot of the things that I share with the audience comes from my experience in the military. It
Oh
comes
wow.
from understanding that when you do things together,
Hmm.
you can accomplish anything, anything. And I really believe that that same attitude that I learned and gained in the military, I
Hmm.
have used it in my life, all my life.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, my brother called me in right before we went on, and he told me, Happy Veterans Day. And I said I wouldn't have done it another way. I said, you're welcome. I said I wouldn't have done it another way. He says, because I said I live this day every day because it meant that
Oh.
much to me. It meant that much. It
Hmm.
changed my life. And for all of the
Oh.
veterans out there, I can really commend them and understand that there was an
Mhm.
experience that they did that they will never be the same again. They'll
Right.
never be the
Right.
same again. And so I my fellow brothers and sisters that have been in the uniform, um, happy Veterans Day
Yeah.
to all of us.
Happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much for your service to this country. And we truly appreciate you on Veterans Day. And so, again, we appreciate those who have joined us today. And we do want to create this space for a safe space to do have check-in and conversations. If you have a topic of interest that you would like us to talk about, feel free to comment. And so, Juan, I'm going to end with, what is dear to me and where I got my start. I grew up in a family that instilled in me the I can mantra. And so that I can mantra says we did not say can't in my family. It was I can. So that belief that I can, whatever that I can. And my grandmother instilled in me that I could dream and dream big because dreams can come true and I can believe in life's endless possibilities was how I grew up. So she
Hmm.
instilled in me with a name like Joy. You are a joy to this world. You have a gift of, brightness and energy, and you bring people together, was the core of my being. And so when you talk about where it started from that seed. And as I look back over my journey called life, one of my favorite quotes is, again, as we navigate this journey called life with the word of song, then my living will not be in vain. And so I am blessed to walk in purpose, and my calling is helping people navigate through life to step into their greatness, and their greatness is within them. And so we
Yeah.
appreciate you joining us, and we will be back.
Yeah. Let me call said more often than not, what we fear is so much worse in
Yes.
our head than it is actually is. So I
Great
agree,
point.
Carl. You're absolutely right
Yes.
because that's exactly what fear is. It's a what is it?
Mhm.
What is the avid? It says fear of, how does it say? FEA, of things that seem to be real.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
Fear of evidence of things that are actually real or something like that. But you're real. You're
Hmm.
right. It's something that's inside of our heads,
It's
and it
inside of our
takes a
head.
lot of space. It takes a lot of space.
Yep.
So let me just say this for those that are interested in finding out more about you, Dr. Joy. There she is. That's where
Here
you
I
can
am.
reach out to her personally. Is where her
Yes.
website is,
I'm
and
on
and
Instagram and Facebook under 3EE Consulting. Reach out to me. I do free discovery calls, but love to be able to connect with you and everything.
yeah. And if it's something that you want to know more about Clear Journey, you can go over the, no, that's the email address. You can go over the clearjourney.org and find out all of the things that we do that. But it's really about giving you education and resources so that you can navigate this life more successfully and,
Mhm.
and reach your full potential. That's really
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Mhm.
And also, just to let you know that we do have on Wednesday nights, we have It's Life Live, which is one of the programs that we talk about, and that's with Oliver and myself. And we talk about the actual application of this in those areas, in all areas of life that we facilitate those experts that come in and share how we can look tips and things like that that can help you navigate life a little bit more successfully. Um, here's uh
Deidre.
said great conversation, great space. Also join us, come back, reach out if
Yes.
it's something that we can do that can help and support. There go also. Hey, yes, we appreciate you also coming out,
Yes.
being with us. And remember that we are here for you and we are to here together to make this
Yes, we
journey
are.
a little bit easier and simpler for us all. Well, again, it has been a great time and it's just a check in conversation. It doesn't
It
really
is.
matter because it doesn't really matter what the challenges are. We want to
Mhm.
help you navigate it more successfully.
All
So,
right.
with that being said, we appreciate you all for being with us,
We
adding the
do.
value of speaking to us, and we look to let you know when we will be back in the future. So, I thank you very much, and,
Thank you.
and all righty.